What happens when a city becomes so corrupt that even divine mercy reaches its limit? What happens when the cries of the oppressed reach heaven, and the stench of sin becomes unbearable? The fate of Sodom and Gomorrah, as recounted in the book of Genesis, stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of unrestrained wickedness. The story begins with a dialogue between God and Abraham. God reveals his intention to investigate the grievous sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham, known for his righteousness and favor with God, is deeply troubled. He dares to question the Almighty interceding for the cities. Could there be even 10 righteous souls within those corrupt walls? The Lord's response to Abraham was clear. If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Genesis 18:26. Abraham, emboldened by God's mercy, continues to plead, gradually reducing the number until he reaches 10. Each time, God patiently affirms his willingness to spare the cities for the sake of even a handful of righteous. But the scriptures paint a grim picture of Sodom and Gomorrah. Their sin was not merely a matter of private indiscretion, it was a defining characteristic of their society. The men of Sodom, both young and old, were notorious for their wickedness. Their hearts were hardened against the plight of the poor and the cries of the innocent. Hospitality, once a sacred duty, had been twisted into something dark and sinister. Abraham, despite his knowledge of their wickedness, clung to the hope of God's mercy. His persistent pleas reveal a heart moved by compassion, even for those who seemed beyond redemption. His dialogue with God underscores a profound truth: God desires mercy, not punishment. He is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, yet justice demands accountability. God's character encompasses both perfect love and perfect justice. The fate of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a sobering reminder that there are limits even to divine patience. The wickedness of these cities had reached a point of no return, a point where the cries of the afflicted could no longer be ignored. God, in his infinite wisdom and sorrow, determined that judgment was necessary. 2 angels, disguised as men, arrived at the gates of Sodom. They carried with them the weight of a divine decree, a mission to assess the true depths of the city's depravity, and to deliver Lot, Abraham's nephew, from the impending destruction. Lot, who sat at the city gates, exemplifying a semblance of righteousness amidst the pervading darkness, immediately extended hospitality to the strangers. He urged them to stay at his home, unaware of their true identities. But the darkness within Sodom was relentless. As evening descended, a mob of men from every part of the city surrounded Lot's house. Their intentions were far from honorable. They demanded that Lot hand over his guests, intending to subject them to unspeakable acts of violence and humiliation. The depths of their depravity knew no bounds. Lot, in a desperate attempt to protect his guests, offered his own daughters to the mob instead. He pleaded with them, saying, "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly." Genesis 19 verse 7. But his words fell on deaf ears. The mob, consumed by their lust and rage, refused to listen. They pressed closer to Lot's door, threatening to break it down. At that moment, the angels revealed their true nature. They struck the men of Sodom with blindness, throwing the mob into confusion and disarray. The angels then warned Lot that the city's destruction was imminent. They urged him to gather his family and flee, saying, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains, lest you be swept away." Genesis 19 verse 17. Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters fled the city as dawn approached. The angels urged them onward, their words echoing the urgency of their escape. But Lot's wife, her heart still entangled in the life she was leaving behind, hesitated. She looked back, perhaps longing for the familiarity of Sodom, perhaps doubting the reality of the impending doom. In that moment of disobedience, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, a chilling reminder of the cost of looking back. Lot and his daughters continued their desperate flight, seeking refuge in the mountains. They had witnessed the depths of human depravity and had narrowly escaped the judgment that befell Sodom. Their story is a testament to God's mercy, even in the face of unimaginable wickedness. They were spared, not because they were deserving, but because of God's covenant with Abraham. As the sun rose over the valley, the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities, once teeming with life, were consumed in a fiery inferno. The smoke billowed into the sky, a grim testament to the consequences of unchecked sin. Abraham, looking down on the smoldering ruins from a distance, was filled with a mixture of grief and awe. He had witnessed both God's mercy in sparing Lot and his family, and his righteous judgment on those who had rejected his ways. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a stark warning for all time. It reminds us that there are limits to God's patience. While he is slow to anger and abounding in love, he will not tolerate wickedness indefinitely. The cries of the oppressed, the plight of the innocent, the stench of unrepentant sin, these will not go unanswered. God is a God of justice, and he will hold humanity accountable for its actions. The story of Lot's wife stands as a cautionary tale. Her fateful decision to look back, to cling to the past, cost her everything. Her transformation into a pillar of salt serves as a stark reminder of the danger of disobedience and the importance of trusting in God's word. When faced with a choice between the familiar comforts of a sinful life and the uncertainty of following God's path, we must choose wisely. Looking back, longing for the things we have left behind, can hinder our spiritual progress and lead us astray. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a difficult one, filled with violence, depravity, and divine judgment. But it's a story that needs to be told, for it holds within its narrative timeless truths about the nature of God, the consequences of sin, and the hope of redemption. The echoes of that ancient judgment still resonate today, reminding us that God sees, God hears, and God acts. He is a God of both justice and mercy, and his desire is for all to turn from their wicked ways and live. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not merely an ancient tale of judgment, it's a mirror reflecting the human condition. It challenges us to examine our own lives, our own societies, and ask ourselves some difficult questions. Are we so blinded by our own desires, our own pursuit of pleasure and prosperity, that we fail to see the suffering around us? Have we become desensitized to violence, injustice, and the exploitation of the vulnerable? The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a stark reminder that moral decay has consequences. It reminds us that God is not indifferent to the suffering of his creation. He sees, he hears, and he acts. May this story serve as a wake-up call, urging us to turn from wickedness and seek righteousness, to embrace compassion and pursue justice for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of generations to come. We hope this story touched your heart. If it resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a moment of our journey through the scriptures. God bless you.